Okay, so what you're seeing here is brand new, as yet unseen, Fallen Frontier footage. This follows hot on the heels of the new gameplay trailer that was released yesterday on IGN. So my thanks to publisher Hooded Horse for sending this over. We're going to start right at the beginning here then with the main menu. In fact, this is a completely reworked menu, and I believe it gives us our first look at some of these different elements. Now, I'm very quickly going to jump back a moment there because that previous screen was pretty interesting. So this is the new game screen, and we can see the different modes that will be available. Tutorial, Campaign, Skirmish, and Scenario Creator. Now, as of my last knowledge of this, and I don't know if it has changed, but the Scenario Creator was intended to allow you to create completely customized star systems. At any rate, let's jump into the campaign. Immediately then, we start around the moon of Rhea. This is the second largest moon of Saturn in our very own star system. And you can see down on the surface of the moon, there's a variety of different facilities. And zooming out, we get a view of the Saturn planetary system. Now, if you've been following close enough, you'll definitely notice that the UI here has been overhauled and completely reworked. Also, that zoom in and zoom out functionality has also changed since our previous look at this. We just saw the UI switching between the various different moons in the system here, whereas the scan button allows us to send a probe out into space to, well, scan the various different things out there. As we're still in the Saturn planetary system here, these obviously are all different moons within that area. And as the course is locked in, you can see a number of different things going on here. Firstly, the burn time, that's how long it's going to take the probe to arrive, in addition to the effect that gravity seems to be having on that transition. So in Fallen Frontier then, you control a whole variety of different ships as a part of your fleet. In the grand scheme of things, this is pretty much an RTS game with some elements, quite heavy elements, of grand strategy mixed in along with it. Although that said, it's pretty hard for me to come up with a direct comparison to Fallen Frontier in terms of another game. As far as I can see, there's not really much else out there like it. Now, around Enceladus, we can see there's a number of Navy vessels. We've got the York frigate here, and we're getting a closer look at that right here. This is a scout frigate, and at 147 meters long, it is a pretty large ship. Over on the right, we can see a variety of different ship components, and as we mouse over and select each of these in turn, we can see that component's physical location on the actual ship. All of this then is full-on customization for each of the ships that are available in Fallen Frontier, and this includes a variety of utility mounts, optional mounts, as well as of course weapons. Now next up, we're going to jump into around the orbit of the moon of Enceladus, and this is where things may start to look a little bit familiar to you if you've already watched the trailer that was released on IGN yesterday. Whilst this is different footage, it's a completely separate recording of those events, it is the same sort of events playing out. What we got going on here then is a massive hauling ship named the TDF Canterbury. Love the reference really to the expanse there, the Canterbury, and it's brought some cargo into orbit around Enceladus. The smaller ships have placed these cargo containers to the starboard of the Canterbury, and in just a moment, as we wait around a little bit longer, you'll see some other ships arrive who will take those cargo containers down to the surface of the moon. Meanwhile, a brand new ship has arrived in orbit off to the right of the screen now at the top, and I've been told that is a newly constructed ship. It's named the TDF Anson. You can see the crew members on board, and as I've mentioned before in previous videos, the crew members do play key roles in the game. Not only are they key to your success and your objectives, they also, really dictate some of the capabilities of your ships. And now here again, we can see the little smaller vessels are now taking those cargo containers down to the surface of the moon. So this really shows us how goods and transportation actually works within Fallen Frontier. It seems to me, based on at least on what we're seeing here, that all cargo and goods are physically represented and they actually have to be shipped from A to B. That physical aspect of the game is something I really do like. It sounds like a really great gameplay opportunity. A lot of things to keep an eye on there, and a lot of stuff to manage, and potentially a lot of stuff to go wrong if it's targeted by hostiles. So right there we can see that those cargo containers now being taken right down to the surface of the moon. I guess to the facilities that are there. So zooming back out again there, we're going to take a look at what's going on with our growing and budding empire. For now, our attention is going to remain firmly within the Saturn planetary star system. Mousing over some of the objects around here, we can see what's going on with them and where they're heading. So that's still on its way to another destination. Meanwhile, we can zoom back in on that scout frigate, the York. And yes, this will be somewhat familiar to you if you've seen the other trailer over on IGN, but this again is a completely fresh recording. What we're going to see here is the York going into FTL. This means that the York doesn't have to take the multi-day burns to get from one celestial body to another. Instead, it can do so pretty much instantaneously. What we're seeing here then is the FTL jump point, and this is a brand new, completely reworked effect for this version of Fallen Frontier. My feeling is that this is absolutely, well, gorgeous. It looks really, really nice. And the effect of transitioning across, you'll see it happening pretty in the moment there. There we go. Very rapid. It's got a nice kinetic feel to it. This jump then is going to move the York from the orbit of Tethys all the way over to Enceladus, quite a significant distance. So we can see the FTL is just about to activate there, and the York will emerge any moment now. Boom, there it goes. Okay, so the York has arrived near another vessel here which is conducting mining operations. Now, if you haven't seen the IGN version of this footage, I do highly recommend you check it out once you've watched this one, because you'll get to see some of those mining operations actually being carried out. Additionally, the scout frigate in the other video also gets issued with some patrol orders, so it can patrol this little mining area. We don't get to see that in this video because, as I say, it is different footage. And that actually still looks really gorgeous, that zoom out. But anyway, zooming away from the extraction side, we know there's a bit of combat going on. There's an alert up in the top right hand corner. There's also an alert on the UI, that red, slightly brighter red circle than the other bit. In fact, the red UI element is telling us that there's a new operation, potential enemy activity. What's going on here then is one of the friendly vessels, the Fitzroy, a Hanno-class destroyer, under the command of Sophia Young, has come under attack by these two other vessels. They look to me like they may be frigates. I'm not quite sure, but I think they are. But what happens next pretty much suggests to us that, well, it's not the Fitzroy who is doing the defensive action here, but rather they are the aggressor. They're about to bombard the moon below them. Look at all these bombs going off. So yeah, that's going to rain absolute havoc and disaster down on the surface of Iapetus here. It looks as though the Fitzroy hasn't got away with that scot-free. There's some, clear damage and burns going on the side of the Fitzroy, but, well, the damage is done. There's disaster down on the moon below, and it looks like that's going to cause a heck of a lot of destruction. So there we have it. That's a look at the footage of Fallen Frontier. Some pretty impressive gameplay elements. What I'm going to do right here then is leave off with the first section of that other gameplay trailer for Fallen Frontier. Yeah, this is pretty nice. I thought you might like to take a look at it. I'll shut up here and give you a watch. You can check the full thing through the link in the description below if you're so inclined.
Sequence out.